You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you, see you, see you.
In the Crease is back. The show about anything that crosses my path returns Sunday, October 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Where are we going this time, Dad?
Great question, EP. Season 3 is back with the 4th annual Nobel Prize show. Physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, economic sciences, and of course, we will find out if the midget from Ukraine somehow manages to win the Nobel Peace Prize. All of this and more on episode 43 of In the Crease, October 15th, here on KLRNradio.com.
Today, this breakfast isn't just breakfast. It might be the first McDonald's breakfast you're having at McDonald's again. This lunch might be a weekly tradition you hadn't had in weeks. And this dinner might be the first one you bought for not just you in a while. Whatever this order is for you, McDonald's will be here to take it.
Get more of the chicken you love with a delicious McChicken sandwich for $1. And for an extra $1, add a refreshing Dr. Pepper. Dining rooms are starting to reopen in certain communities at participating McDonald's. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program may contain coarse language, adult themes, and a cranky old man yelling about the state of the world. Listener discretion is, as always, advised.
I take a breath, I'm not gonna lose. This is what I came here to do.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host. Favorite host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Otherwise known as Chat Live's Matter Night, right here live on KLRNradio.com. I am your host, Rick Robinson, also the programming director around here. Don't forget, we've got a full load of programming tonight, so coming up next after me is the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Then we have the Ladies of the Red Wine, and as far as I know, God willing and Orty off work on time, there will be a Rick and Orty with no stand-ins. So we'll see. It's not Raptor. Don't mess with my head, bro. Don't mess with my head, bro. He's in the chat saying it's Monday again. It's not Monday. It's Wednesday. Damn it! Don't mess with my head. Oh, it's hard enough, especially because I've been living this stuff 24/7 lately. It's like I can't ever seem to be able to turn it off, especially now. Speaking of which, if you've been keeping score, it's disinformation is now A-OK again. And so is insurrection, as long as you're simping for terrorists. There's been, insurrection-y smelling activities all over the Capitol today, and they're still letting them happen. Most of them, if not all of them, are going to be charged with unlawful assembly. Ooh, I don't have a slap on the wrist sound effect. Can you guys hear this? Because that's pretty much what they're going to get. I think 3 people have been charged with assault on peace officers. Unlike J6, who some people are still sitting in a dungeon somewhere awaiting trial. It's funny. It's only insurrection when you pick the wrong candidate. It's not insurrection when you sent for actual terrorists. I can't with these people. And the funny thing is, so I saw this come out, and I wanted to write about it, so I put it out on Twitchy almost as soon as I saw it. And then I started watching the story unfold a little more, and I had to go back and pay attention to the language I was using, because I was like, did I call these people Palestinian? Because I had no idea when the story broke that it wasn't Palestinians, it was Jewish people protesting for the people that are trying to kill Jews in Israel. I'm really confused about where we are in this timeline. I blame CERN, but I am really confused about where we are in this timeline, because I'm watching actual Jewish people protesting the Israelis trying to kill the terrorists that have killed Jewish citizens. I almost get it when Talib and Omar do it, almost, because they're Palestinian. But why are Jews simping for terrorists? I'm so confused. Oh, and in case you missed the memo, something else is back now. Give this a listen. I want to see if you catch this. Here you go.
And we saw yesterday hundreds of people gathering, some protesters even attempting to storm the Israeli embassy. So we have seen a bit of an increase in the security presence here, although it has been mostly peaceful. But look, this...
Did you catch that? Mostly peaceful is back, y'all. Mostly peaceful is going to be a word again, because as long as they're not trying to, actually kill anybody we should care about, it's going to be mostly peaceful. Look, I was in this all night last night, and I didn't even mean to be. I was just having fun on Twitter, and I saw that John Cusack was flipping his lid. I don't know how that man hasn't blocked me yet. He's blocked almost everybody that works for Twitchy. He's blocked almost everybody on KLR Radio. Somehow I have not been blocked yet. Just lucky, I guess. But so I'm watching him, flipping out, and I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm like, dude, something about this story doesn't add up, for one. For two, we had every alphabet soup news agency out there basically screaming and yelling that Israel bombed a hospital, when Israel's like, no, actually we didn't. What threw everybody off is there was an official-looking account that was from a supposed Israeli reporter that tweeted things like that out and then deleted them. So that's what started the whole, let's just pile on Israel because they bombed a hospital. Everybody seems to forget that 7 days prior, Hamas actually bombed a children's hospital. Nobody really said anything about that one. But then, so as the story kept developing, right, I'm watching it and everybody's like, well, if it was this and it was this, and why is there a plane here and why is this? And I'm like, dude, if you're listening to the sound that thing makes as it's hitting the ground, it doesn't sound anything like a bomb being dropped. It just doesn't. Bombs, when they fall, have a very distinct sound. We've heard it all of our lives in movies and on TV shows and everything else. Now, I'm not saying that modern munitions don't have a slightly different sound than the ones that we're used to seeing and hearing on TV shows, etc., but it's still a very distinct sound. So I'm just sitting here and I'm like, something about this does not add up. And then, just to add emphasis, I finally got to sleep about 1:30, 2 o'clock last night. So I get up probably about, my alarm went off at 8 because I was like, I have work to do, so I still have to get up, even though technically I was working all night because, this is pretty much what I do now. But anyway, so, not to put too fine a point on it. Hang on, I'm looking for something that I sent to someone because, yes, I even do this in my spare time. I have friends texting me all the time. What's going on with this Israel-Hamas thing, and why are you on Israel's side? Because I don't get it, because of this, that, and the other. So I sent one of them a very long tweet thread that I should have actually just went to Twitchy on, because it got written up today too. But so this is from AG, and if you're not following AG Hamilton29 on Twitter, you probably should be, like yesterday. So I'm going to put this somewhere where I can actually get it to you guys so we have access to the clips, and I just messed up. La 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 la. This is what happens when I think I have things prepped, and then I was like, oh wait, I forgot to do that part. Anyway, did I mention that I've been, working pretty much nonstop for like 10 days, one way or the other? Did I mention that? Does anybody care? Probably not, but Anyway, so we're gonna drop that there, so that means I can get to it. And makes it easier for me to read too, so I don't feel like I'm having to stare at my phone. Alright, so where did it go? There we go. Alright, so this is from, again, AG. We now have video of the scene showing the explosion is from the parking lot, and the buildings are in fact still intact. There's no crater, no building demolished. This is inconsistent with the type of bombs many were suggesting had been used yesterday. There is drone footage from before and after that shows the same as above, also inconsistent with what is being called an airstrike. Now, I am ad-libbing this a bit because, Twitter uses shorthand. So there are some extra words here. I'll be dropping the whole thing in the chat later too, for anybody that wants to go through it and kind of decide for yourself. The IDF has released a phone call, allegedly between two Hamas operatives, where one informs the other that the Islamic Jihad missile was launched from a cemetery near the hospital. And the shrapnel is consistent with one of those missiles, not the aforementioned bomb. I would play the audio, but it's not in English anyway, and you guys can't see the subtitles, so it'd be pointless. It is also worth noting that the photos of the scene are also not consistent with any of the casualty numbers that were quickly released by Hamas Health Ministry and cited throughout the media yesterday, even if there were a significant number of refugees in said parking lot. We also had a clear announcement at 1900 by Hamas that they would be launching rockets at Israel. The first announcement of the hospital being hit was exactly 10 minutes later. Coincidence? I think not. We have videos from the Israeli side of the barrage of rockets being launched, followed immediately by the explosion nearby almost immediately after. I'm going to let you guys hear this part if I can. Hang on. Yeah, it shows it has sound, but I guess it really doesn't. Anyway, so no sound for you. Sorry, guys. We also have video from an Al Jazeera, because, you know, Al Jazeera is in America's pocket, y'all. Live stream showing a rocket being launched, misfiring, and then part of the payload falling down nearby. That is from 1859 hours, within a minute of Hamas's announcement. Analysis of the Al Jazeera live stream location confirms the missile fell on the hospital. More analysis with other videos shows that the projectile that was clearly from a missile launch fell in the hospital parking lot. More footage of the damage surrounding buildings that appear structurally untouched, and almost all of the damage is in the parking lot. Video from Israel news channels shows time-stamped matching other videos at 1859 hours showing the rocket launch from a location nearby, followed by the explosion where the arrows are on the right of the screen. And like I said, for those of you following along in the chat, I'll be dropping this in there in a moment. I should note that while there is little evidence of the hospital was damaged, and the casualty counts from Hamas are clearly unreliable and inconsistent, with evidence, there's evidence of substantial casualties among the people that were gathered on the grass next to the parking lot. Look, I'm not saying bad things don't happen in war. What I'm saying is, to everyone who claims to have the word journalist or media personality in your profile, get your shit straight before you go on the air. This is pathetic. I want to paint you guys a picture, right? So let's say, for the sake of argument, this was still going on in Ukraine. And, well, it is, but we're not seeing it anymore because, you know, Zelensky's trying to get to Israel to get the attention spotlight back on that little whore. But, okay, sorry. Did I say the quiet part out loud again? My bad. Anyway, so let's just say, for the sake of argument, that this story was coming out of the Ukraine-Russian conflict. Do you think if the head of Russian, you know, medical, whatever the fuck they call it, put out a notice that says, hey, Ukraine bombed a hospital and 500 Russians are dead, do you think our media would just run with it like it was gospel? If it was Russia? Do you? Because I don't. We have a hate problem in this country, and I've been trying to tell people that for years. Nobody's listened to me, but now they're starting to see it. So I'm hoping, now that there are a lot of people like me that have been saying this for a very, very long time, that maybe people are going to start seeing that we have a legitimate hate problem in this country. Every problem that we have in this country stems from the same place. It's hate. Everybody wants to blame the gun for gun violence. The gun's not the problem. Hate is. Everybody wants to talk about how bad social media is. Social media is not the problem. Hate is. Everybody wants to talk about all the violence everywhere in the streets. The streets didn't do it. The hate in people's hearts did it. This is where we are. The left has been the one virtue signaling to everyone that they needed to be useful tools until they didn't need them anymore, or until somebody from that so-called protected group wakes up and leaves the fold, and then all of a sudden is, oh my God, fucking Joe Biden, for God's sake, in 2020, 2019, 2020. If you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. That is probably the most racist, condescending bullshit I have ever heard anyone say, much less a 76-year-old white man. And he got a pass. Do you know why he got a pass? Because everyone who supports him has the same hate in their heart that he does, and they know it. That's why they project it onto everyone else. MAGA had to be the Nazis because they couldn't face the fact that they're the actual Nazis. MAGA had to be the terrorists because they can't face the fact that in their hearts they side with the terrorists. We saw this to a lesser degree all the way back during 9/11. 9/11 was a long time ago, but we still saw this to a lesser degree then. This has been festering for over 20 years, and it's coming to a head, and people are seeing it, and they don't know what to do with it. Because everybody that's bought all the left lies about how, well, we're the kinder, gentler people, we're the ones that actually give a damn about what happens to you, blah, 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 blah. These people just want you to be off on your own. No, we want you to learn self-reliance, so that you know how to stand up on your own. That doesn't mean you're not allowed to ask for help when you need it. It just means that we want you to be able to stand up on your own. It's called tough love, and it used to be a thing in this country. Now we have an entire generation. I saw numbers today that absolutely astounded me. I'm trying to pull them from memory. But anybody from basically the boomer generation, like 80% of them support Israel. For some reason, by Gen X, it goes down to about 67%. Don't really understand that. I'm not sure why it dropped at all. Then we get into millennials, and they're at like 53%. Gen Z supports Israel by 48%. So when it comes down to it, based on numbers that I'm seeing right now, more people in the current generation that is coming into adulthood right now support Hamas more than they do Israel. I wonder why that is. Could that be part of the reason why we're seeing all of this hate coming out on college campuses? Could it be? Could it? I'm just asking. You know, as everybody's new favorite phrase on Twitter is, I'm just asking questions. But seriously, could that be it? I mean, so this is what's going on all over the country today. You know, we've kind of hit on the D.C. protests, but this is happening elsewhere. Give this a listen.
Here at home, Vermonters for Justice in Palestine are gathering right now for what they're calling an emergency rally after the hospital explosion in Gaza.
NBC5's Lauren Granada joins us now live from that rally on Church Street. And Lauren, they have a specific request from local leaders tonight.
They do. Liz and Brian, the group Vermonters for Justice in Palestine are marching up and down Church Street right now, and they're calling on Vermont's congressional leaders to vote no on an upcoming military aid package for Israel. And this is all in response to the explosion on a hospital in Gaza yesterday.
It was breaking the camel back.
When Wafiq Fawur saw the images coming out of Gaza after Tuesday's attack on a hospital,
I'm still speechless.
He and others from Vermonters for Justice in Palestine immediately reached out to Vermont's congressional leaders.
Helping Israel on this time by giving them more ammunition, and this ammunition, you know, that have been used on Gaza, and it will be used on other places in Palestine. It's a crime against humanity.
The group is asking Senator Sanders, Senator Welch, and Congresswoman Balint to vote no on the $100 billion foreign aid package President Biden is expected to send to Congress that includes assistance for Israel.
American public reject this kind of policy, and I know that for sure.
Senator Sanders releasing a statement in response to the hospital attack, describing it as a, quote, unspeakable crime. He went on to say massive humanitarian aid must be rushed to Gaza and the hostages must be returned to their families. And Congresswoman Becca Balint releasing a statement saying in part, the loss of civilian lives in Gaza and Israel is truly horrifying. I'm calling for Israel to take all necessary measures to ensure the successful transport of aid to Gaza.
Vermonters, after all, are American, and their tax money are aiding this genocide, and they have to speak out.
And the group Vermonters for Justice in Palestine say that they will continue to hold events and teach-ins for the community. We're live here in Burlington tonight. Lauren Granada, NBC 5 News.
So they're going to hold events and teachings for the communities. Teachings. What exactly is it they want us to learn? Ladies and gentlemen, I may wind up being canceled before this war is ever finished. But I'm going to keep saying the truth anyway. Israel did not start this. Hamas started this. Palestinians overwhelmingly elected Hamas. Now, granted, that was a long time ago, and Hamas has frozen all elections since. But back then, it was 70% of the population that supported Hamas and Hamas's mission statements, which include erasing Israel from the map. Now, based on numbers that I can find today, still 58% of Palestinians side with Hamas and support their mission statement, which again includes wiping Israel off of the map. It's part of their stated constitution. It's their second point in their constitution that they will never stop until Israel is destroyed, just like Islam has destroyed so many others before them. That is it. That is almost word for word what it says. I don't have it in front of me, but I promise you it's really close. The other thing that I've been trying to make people understand is Hamas means completely different things in Aramaic than it does in Hebrew. In Aramaic, Hamas basically means hero. In Hebrew, it means bad shit. There's no way to put a finer point on it. That's basically what it means. So you're telling me that, again, that these people that are supposedly freedom fighters picked this name by accident. These languages are cousins to one another. Hell, Jesus in his day spoke Aramaic. A lot of white Christians don't want to face that point. But this whole idea that because he spoke Aramaic, that these two religions are cousins to one another, that is false. That is false. Islam came centuries later, and if anything, is a bastardization of a lot of the teachings from the Bible. If I'm just being honest, I hate to go all preachy. Anyway, we are at the top of the hour, bottom of the hour, so we do need to take another break anyway. Or take a break anyway, because normally I've taken at least one by now. And I haven't even done that yet, because there's just too much to talk about. Alright, I don't even know. I kind of feel like I need to play something a little mellow. I don't know. I don't know. What do I want to go to break with? I don't even know if I still have this one. I thought I did. I do. Why is it not pulling up? There we go. We're going to go to break with something a little mellow. If you don't like it, I don't really care. This is Rick Robinson. You are listening to the America Off the Rails show. We are live right here on KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reigns. I haven't felt like I've had to say that for a while. I think we need to get back to it again. We'll be right back.
Coming down the day. Yesterday and days before. Sun is cold
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, Pop-Up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you.
Today, this breakfast isn't just breakfast. It might be the first McDonald's breakfast you're having at McDonald's again. This lunch might be a weekly tradition you hadn't had in weeks. And this dinner might be the first one you bought for not just you in a while. Whatever this order is for you, McDonald's will be here to take it.
Get more of the chicken you love with a delicious McChicken sandwich for $1. And for an extra buck, add a refreshing Dr. Pepper. Dining rooms are starting to reopen in certain communities at participating McDonald's. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign. KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
A new year means it's time for a new home network that can keep up. With Cox Internet, you have the speed and coverage your family needs to stay connected. You'll enjoy Cox's fiber-based hybrid network with options for fast upload and download speeds. And if your household has lots of connected devices, Panoramic Wi-Fi may be the perfect fit thanks to its additional control features. Plus, with advanced security on Panoramic Wi-Fi, you'll know each connected device is securely protected 24/7. A whole world of connectivity is yours with Cox Internet. Learn more at Cox.com.
Gentlemen, my name is Rick Robinson. You are listening to America Off the Rails right here live on KLRNradio.com. We do this thing every Wednesday night starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, coming up after me, we have the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show, followed by the Ladies of the Red Wine, and then, of course, we should have a nightcap with yours truly and everybody's favorite Amish lawyer. So Rick and Orty, as far as I know, is on track, is on schedule. Don't forget, also, Saturday night we do have Juxtaposition. We're doing Juxtober. Unfortunately, we had to skip last Saturday because both Orty and I felt like trash. So we'll do a makeup episode first Saturday in November because, you know, you're still going to get all 4 episodes, I promise. Anyway, so enough housekeeping. We got to talk about this too. I don't feel like this is being talked about enough, at least not the way that it needs to be talked about. This is from Fox 13.
Our state, with activists on both sides facing off today at the University of Washington. The school was already mourning the death of a former international relations graduate student, Haim Katzman. He was working on peaceful resolutions to the Palestinian conflict when he was killed. The friction was evident during today's demonstration. Fox 13's Frankie Thompson is on campus with the details. Frankie.
Students on both sides of this conflict are hurting, some of them grieving the death of family members. There were some intense moments at the pro-Palestine rally here at the University of Washington, but event organizers say today's focus is standing for Palestinian freedom. One message, hundreds of voices. Supporters of Palestine rally at University of Washington's Red Square for a day of resistance.
The fact that Palestinians have been living under a terror regime of occupation for over 75 years. These moments are a manifestation of this oppression. It is the oppressed fighting the oppressor.
For decades, a complicated conflict has come between Palestine and Israel.
I think it's just hard to see, especially because they've been fighting for 75 years and there's no end to it. And I think that we're just tired of fighting, you know?
A new fight erupting into war after the Hamas launched terrorist attacks in Israel. The deadly turmoil is claiming the lives of thousands of people on both sides, including the Israeli relatives of Nina Carmeli.
Like, went missing for 4 days. They were found on Tuesday, murdered. No one had found them for a very long time.
Tensions in the Middle East continues boiling over for those impacted here in Washington.
Not even them, it's you! You support violence!
Though rally organizers claim they don't support the Hamas, their support for Palestine to defend itself during war stands.
But this is actually Palestinian resistance fighting against an oppression of over 75 years of settler colonialism and occupation.
With so much innocent blood shed in the battle, supporters of Israel question if resistance is the answer.
I have family that's gone. Like, it's okay to want change, to want peaceful change, to want development, progress, but it can't come as a result of rapes, of people being beheaded, of like kids dying. It can't be as a result of that.
While condemning the violence and the attacks, the UW president says the university is focusing energies on people who are hurting, no matter which side of the conflict they're on. Reporting in Seattle, Frankie Thompson, Fox 13 News.
Anger over the...
All right. So there you have that. I don't think this is being talked about enough, and I don't think it's being talked about appropriately enough. Ladies and gentlemen, as far as I'm concerned, and I have tried to tag every member of Congress that I know, every senator that I know, their main caucus groups they use on social media, it is time for us to pull off federal funding from every university until we root out these terrorist sympathizing thugs. I hate to sound like McCarthy, but that's where we are. Look, I get free speech is free speech is free speech, but when you start advocating for violence against another group of people, I have a problem with that. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to say it, but I'm saying you have to face the consequences of the fact that you chose to say it. We have this thing in this country that I don't really understand, and it started a long time ago. Like, even when I was a kid, like I remember in the original Star Wars before they changed it, Han shot first, because we have this thing in this country where you can't be the one to throw the first punch. That is never what I taught my kids. Never. And let me explain why. Because there are ways and there are cues that you can see that somebody's going to be coming at you. So first things first, in a fight, anybody that's coming at you aggressively, don't let them get within arm's reach. If you are stupid enough to let them get within arm's reach of you and you are not ready to just unload, then you deserve whatever happens next, because whoever it was that came up with this idea of you can't be the one to throw the first punch, there are so many different ways that you know somebody's about to try to take your block off that they don't have to throw a punch for you to know. You're going to know. They're going to telegraph. You're going to see their nostrils flare. They're going to start charging towards you. There's going to be several different things that are going to happen. So this whole idea of we have to stand and take the first blow, that's great for a Rocky movie. That sucks in real life. I don't know who the pussy was that came up with that idea, and yeah, I just said what I said, but that needs to be erased from American lexicon. Because just because somebody's charging at you and they haven't made contact with you yet, that doesn't mean they haven't started the fight. They have already passed the point of being aggressive with you if they are charging you. Israel didn't start this. You heard at the very end of the last clip that I played, 75 years of colonialism. Bro. You realize that even if you don't believe the religious connotations within the Bible, it has been deemed for the most part fairly historically accurate when it comes to the line of the Jews. 75 years? The Jews have been there since the dawn of time. You want to talk to me about 75 years? What about the Jews that were there? Just because, they basically got picked up and carried off, and then a bunch of people moved in. You want to talk about colonialization? Who are the actual colonizers here? You guys tried to take Israel's land from them while they were being gassed by the fucking Nazis, and you want to talk to me about colonialism? Really? That's your stance? That's the stance you're going to take today? Because that's not going to work with me. The other problem that I have is even if everything that you are saying is true, and Israel had been the worst possible oppressive regime ever for most of the last 75 years, they've pretty much tried to leave you alone since 2005. You kept saying you want a place that can be yours and to be left alone, so they left. Israel pulled their own citizens out of the Gaza area and said, it's yours. Do with it as you will. Leave us alone. And this is the thing that drives me crazy. Palestine, I hate even saying that name. But Palestine has some of the best waterfront area in that region. They could have built an entire economy around that. Instead, they chose to elect a terrorist organization with a charter stating that Israel was to be wiped off the map, and instead, they picked that. Don't come at me about how bad their life is because they're having to deal with their choices. They made those choices. We didn't make those choices for them. Israel didn't make those choices for them. Israel said it's yours. Palestine and Hamas said, nah, bro, we want yours too. In case you've missed it, because they don't play it very often on TV, but in case you've missed it, in all these different protest clips, there's a part they never really play, and normally they'll even cut it off when it gets started. Because you'll occasionally hear somebody start to chant from the river, and that's usually when the clip gets cut. There's a whole other 2 or 3 sentences attached to that chant. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. In order for that chant to be true, Israel wouldn't be there. You know, it's funny because I heard today something that I, for some reason, it had never really clicked with me before until today. I heard one of the Israeli officials talk about no one can tell us how hard we need to fight because we literally have nowhere else to go. And let's be real. If they had done this here, how many of us would be calling for the suspension of the rules of war? Because I don't buy into that shit either. Hamas is not a military. Hamas is a terrorist group. The other question that I have, because we after 9/11, we did all this stuff where we, rooted out financial networks for terrorists and we froze them. When did we stop doing that? Hamas is a terror group. Hezbollah is a terror group. Why do they have access to anything? I'll tell you why. You're not going to like the answer, but I'll tell you why. It's because we have a weak-ass president in the White House. And anybody that's on the left that's listening to this show right now, your head is probably about to explode, so I would recommend either that you hit the pause button, shut it off, or find your duct tape. Because Joe Biden is the most weak, ineffectual, feckless president we have ever had. One of these days, if given the opportunity, Jimmy Carter's going to walk by Joe Biden and drop him the peace sign. Thanks for not making me the worst president in history anymore. But that's where we are. So again today, President Puddinhead, for God knows what reason, went to Israel. And then basically spent an hour at a couple different talks, reading off of his cue cards and his teleprompter, sounding like he'd missed nap time. And at one point, even pointed out that, we know you guys didn't do this. I've seen reports and everything else that make it clear that it was the other team. What now? The other team, you say? This administration does everything to downplay what should really matter, and everything to amplify anything that really shouldn't. While we've been talking about this, the DOJ is trying to increase the sentences for J6 people. People who in reality did less than the protesters that have been at the Capitol today. And we have radio traffic and radio chatter basically telling everybody that, hey, this started because we escalated, not because they did. This is the part that I can't make anybody understand. If January 6th was what you claim it was supposed to be, where are all the guns? There's a famous quote from World War II, and it's the reason why Japan basically decided to try to go after Pearl Harbor instead of trying to land troops actually on the mainland. Because in America, there's a gun behind every blade of grass. That is still mostly true.
The Israel-Hamas war spilling over.
My computer went to sleep and I was trying to wake it up. That is still mostly true. Which is part of the reason why, even though I'm terrified that our border's wide open and all the things that have come through and all the people that have come through, if it really tries to pop off here, I'm not that worried about it. First of all, I live in the middle of nowhere for a reason. Second of all, go ahead and try. Third of all, most of the people that I'm in the same circles with have been prepping for this stuff for the last decade. Because it's how we grew up. We were ready for the world to end in a moment's notice. It's part of the reason why we're just sitting there going, okay, whatever. I mean, dude, we used to do duck and cover drills under our desk. I grew up going to a school that was 3.5 miles from a Soviet primary target. My morning routine from basically K through 4th was Pledge of Allegiance, duck and cover, Lord's Prayer. They used to tell us that we could survive a nuclear attack by hiding under our desk. Because they didn't know what else to tell us. We were kids. Well, if it happens, they won't ever know. But there's a reason things like Red Dawn never actually happened. There's a reason why Japan went after Pearl Harbor. There's a reason why the attacks on 9/11 happened the way they did. Because they knew if they tried to put boots on the ground, they were done. But you cannot tell me, because this is the other part I can't make anybody understand. If you look at Israel's population, then with the number of people that were killed, if we were to do it comparatively to our population, it would be like losing 75,000 Americans in a single day. We went to war in 2 countries over losing 3,500. Do we really expect Israel to sit on their hands? And if we do, why? They didn't do this. Palestine had a chance to rule themselves. They chose to side with terrorists. I'm sorry. If that hurts your feelings, I'm sorry if it makes you upset. I'm sorry if you feel like I'm being too general, but I'm being as literal as I possibly can. These people were given a chance to govern themselves. They chose terrorists. Goes back to what I was talking about in the beginning of the show. We don't have a gun violence problem here in America. We have a hate problem in America. We don't have a terrorist problem in this country. We have a hate problem in this country. Palestine chose Hamas because Palestine hates Israel. And look, I don't hold the Jews completely harmless in any of this, if I'm being completely honest, because I've seen and read about the stories of what happens when Christians go over into Israel and start trying to talk to people about Jesus. These people are not always nice people either, but they don't deserve what is going on with them. They haven't deserved the scorn that they've gotten from pretty much every corner of the globe from the moment they were created. And yes, I said created. You don't like it, turn it off. If anything, my faith tells me that I'm supposed to stand with them, whether I agree with them or not. But that's where this whole, Zionist Nazi comparison comes from, because the Jews believe they're God's chosen people. My Bible tells me the Jews are God's chosen people. Am I supposed to argue with that? Hell, everything I believe wouldn't even be possible if it wasn't for a certain Jew that died on a cross. So I'm supposed to argue with that? And to all you atheists, agnostics, whatever, look, you can think whatever you want. I don't care. You can pray to whomever you want. I don't care. You can tell me there's absolutely nothing after we die. I don't care. Because here's my thought process on this. If I'm wrong, I've lost nothing. I have gone out of my way to help people who needed it. I have gone out of my way to be a beacon to people who needed it. And if, just like hiding under my desk as a kid, if the lights go out and they never come back on again, I'm never going to know. But I do firmly 1000% believe that there is something after we die. And I do firmly 1000% believe that my religion and my faith is the one that explains it as best as possible. Is there more there? Probably. Because even the scriptures say that we see now through a mirror or through a glass darkly. We don't know the whole story yet. We're not supposed to. That's part of what faith is. But this whole idea that because we're Christians, we're just supposed to let people wipe us off the face of the earth, or because they're Jew, and their God preaches, be nice, that we're just supposed to roll over and let people knock us off the face of the earth. No. Jesus was the coolest dude on the planet, but he knew when to get mad. There are all kinds of examples throughout the Bible where that dude just basically lost it and said, no more of this. Key case in point, the money changers in the temple. He chased them out with a whip after he flipped their tables. That doesn't sound like a peace-loving beatnik hippie to me. Everyone always quotes a very specific verse. Turn your swords into plows. Or I think it actually says plowshares. That word always confused me. But there's a verse a couple verses later that everybody seems to forget. There's also a time to turn your swords or your plowshares back into swords. There's also a verse specifically where Jesus says, if a man has 2 coats, let him sell one so that he has the money to buy a sword. Jesus was not the peacenik hippie that everybody's tried to make him out to be. He's also not this white bread Anglo-American fool that everybody's trying to make him out to be either. But he wasn't afraid to stand and fight when he had to. At the time that Peter was ready to stand and fight, he knew that wasn't what was supposed to happen, so he told him to stop. Guys, here's the thing. If what I believe is true, then Jesus could have taken himself down off that cross at any time and basically bathed the world in blood. Instead, he chose to take everything that you and I have ever done wrong, every bit of sin, every speck, no matter how big, no matter how small, and he took it upon himself. Which is why everybody sees him as this huge hippie hero, but nothing could be further from the truth. Yes, he tells you to turn the other cheek, but he didn't tell you to keep. I mean, being slapped is one thing, being murdered is something else. Alright, well, believe it or not, sorry, I didn't actually mean to go quite so preachy there at the end of that one, but believe it or not, we're pretty much out of time. I don't know where the last hour went, because it feels like I just sat down like 5 seconds ago. But we have reached the point where I have to tell you that this particular show is, unfortunately, over. Oh, yeah. Maybe.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the woods.
This isn't over until I say it's over!
Closing time.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? Game over, man. Game over.
Closing time. Time for you to go out to the places you will be from. Closing time. This room won't be open till your brother.
I'll tell you what you're supposed to do. Hang out for the Conservative Curmudgeon coming up next right here on KLRNradio.com. I'll be with you guys tomorrow night for both Whatever and Jen and Rick. So, and again later tonight for Rick and Orty. God willing, as long as Orty gets off work on time. Bye, everybody.